In this video, I want to share with you 3 concise steps that I took to leave my comfort zone and start traveling the world. My hope is that even if you're not interested in travel, becoming an expat, retirement, or living in a different country eventually, that you can use these steps to simply begin to leave your comfort zone and do something different. But before I get started, I want to thank each and every person that has already subscribed to this channel. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. And if you have not yet subscribed, please subscribe to this channel and let's get started with the video. So similar to many of you, years ago, I saw the most amazing movie that I've ever seen in my life. It's called Shawshank Redemption. If you have not seen this movie, it is incredible and I highly recommend that you watch it. A brief synopsis of the movie is that the main character, Andy Dufresne, is serving life in prison for the murder of his wife. Although Andy is innocent of the crime, he is still serving very hard time behind bars. And Andy forms this small group of friends that he begins to talk with every day, and their life begins to be based on the dream of one day escaping prison and actually having a chance to live life to the fullest. One of the biggest dreams that he discusses with one of his best friends that is played by Morgan Freeman is the dream of one day escaping prison and making their way to Mexico together. So eventually at the end of the movie, you can see that Andy and also his best friend, who's played by Morgan Freeman, make it to Mexico, and it is the pinnacle of success for both of them. And the movie ends there. So when I first saw this movie, I was trapped in this cycle of study, work, and really there was no potential for this cycle of study and work to ever end. But when I saw the movie, it did light a fire in me to begin to plan my escape, similar to what they did in the movie. And so in this video, I'm going to give you the 3 concise steps that I took that actually worked to help to set me free from that work, study trap that I considered at that time a prison. So let's get into step number 1. So the first thing that I did was master the subtle art of minimalism. Now there are tons of videos on YouTube that talk about different types of minimalism. There are extreme cases where you see people saying that they buy absolutely nothing, next to nothing. And there are other cases in which there are people embracing minimalism by buying very little or buying only the things they absolutely need. So when I saw all of these videos on YouTube, there was one YouTuber in particular, Tim Ward, that I watched for years, who I loved watching, who talked about how to begin to embrace minimalism and budget your money so that eventually you could buy your freedom. It sounds strange, but it's absolutely necessary. So the first step is to absolutely do your research and begin to embrace minimalism. I'm talking to people out here that are watching me who are still doing things like going to the hair salon every week, going to expensive restaurants, buying things that are not real, that are extremely expensive, like hair and nails and etc. things, eyelashes that we do not need. And none of those things are going to help us achieve any level of freedom. If I'm talking to you and this resonates with you, stop it. If you were to stop buying all of those things, can you imagine how much money you would save? In my case, I was never a person that goes to hair salons, that gets nails and things like that done. But the things that I did do was I would go to expensive restaurants. I had expensive gym memberships. I had every single subscription a person can buy, from Netflix to Apple Music to Spotify. But when I began to reevaluate what I wanted for my life in the future, I began to downsize. I became a minimalist. I began to plan my escape and save my money so that one day I could buy my escape. And I recommend that to all of you. So that's the first step. So the second step might be a little bit counterintuitive for many people because this step I took from the world of fitness and exercise, and that is intermittent fasting. Yes, intermittent fasting helped to transform my life. And let me explain how it did that. So when I began to dream that one day I could leave this vicious cycle of study, work, and that was my entire life, then I began to watch fitness experts talk about how to get in shape, how to lose weight. And the major fad at that time was intermittent fasting. I watched a channel on YouTube called the Hodge Twins, and they were talking about basically how intermittent fasting is so effective that you could basically eat whatever you want and not exercise as long as you ate within a 7-hour window, for example, from 12 to 7. As long as you did this, it didn't matter if you ate healthy or not. And so they began to demonstrate on their channel. So I originally started intermittent fasting just to experience weight loss. But what did I find? I found that implementing intermittent fasting helped to do 3 fundamental things in my life. It helped to change me physically. It improved my physical health, but it also improved my mental health, and it helped me become a better planner. Because first of all, as it relates to physical health, a lot of people don't think about the fact that if you want to travel, if you want to become an expat, you have to have your physical health. You have to have your mental health. So the best way to kickstart that is through intermittent fasting. One of the things I was thinking about as I planned my escape was that, listen, I can't be in another country sick. I can't be in another country with a weak immune system. So intermittent fasting will help you to do 3 fundamental things: save money, time, improve your physical health, improve your mental health, and it will give you the mental clarity and discipline to begin to combine minimalism with discipline so that you can eventually formulate a plan of real escape, one that actually will work for you. So I recommend intermittent fasting, whether you can do it once a day, you can do it once a week, you can do it once a month, whatever you can do, just start. As we see a lot here on YouTube, there are so many videos literally begging you to just start. So that's what I'm doing today. Combine minimalism with intermittent fasting so you can begin to organize your escape and have a concrete plan. So the third step that I want to talk to you about today is actually the most important. It's the one that I think helped me the most in terms of having a concrete plan, such as a budget, thinking about how much money I will need, thinking about how much money I will need to save, thinking about which countries I would like to live in, what languages will I need to learn. So I need you to take out a sheet of paper and answer honestly and truthfully 2 fundamental questions. The first one is, if I were living in my calling right now, what would my life look like? We all know that there is a grand difference between a job, a career, and a calling. To me, a calling can be defined as something that you feel intrinsically in your soul pulled to do. How many people have heard musicians say that the reason I never quit until I reached success is because it was something on the inside of me that compelled me to go this route, and I felt like I could not stop until I reached success. I've heard athletes say that. I've heard teachers say that. I've heard mothers and fathers say that they felt their calling was to become parents. So I want you to take the time on this sheet of paper to write out at least a paragraph about what your life would look like if you were actually living in your calling right now. Be as detailed as possible. For example, if you are a person who feels like you would love to become a top chef, that's a pull, a desire that is a pull or desire that is on the inside of you, Write at least a paragraph or more about what that type of life would look like. Begin to visualize yourself as that top chef and write it down. This will help you begin to at least mentally leave your comfort zone. So the second question that I have is actually more of a fill in the blank question. And it is, one day I will. Now, how many times have we heard people use that phrase, one day I will? And they have a plethora of things that they will share with you after saying, one day I will. In this case, I want you to actually write at least a paragraph down, explaining in detail something that you see in the future for yourself. And with that paragraph, you're going to begin to mentally visualize yourself in that place. So this writing exercise will serve two purposes. The first is it will increase your ability to visualize yourself living the life of your dreams, living a life in which you know you are living in your calling, living a life in which you understand that there is no more one day, because today is the day in which, for example, if you're somebody like myself, you already speak Spanish fluently. You already live in a Spanish-speaking country. You already have the courage and the tenacity to speak with people on YouTube, which is something in the past I would never, ever dream of being able to do. So all of these things, the minimalism, the intermittent fasting, and the answers to these questions that only you have the answers to that I gave you at the end, will help you begin to leave your comfort zone and never, ever return to it. So that's all I have for you today. If you're interested in a part 2 of this video, please drop down in the comments and let me know. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I would really appreciate that a lot. And I'll see you next week in the next video. Bye-bye.